Come on!
Have you ever thought about climbing a mountain, or at least how beautiful the view would be at the peak? Well, Cairn is a game that lets you experience exactly that. It focuses heavily on immersion and methodical gameplay, combining technical climbing mechanics and survival elements to create one of the most immersive indie games I've ever played. If you're yet to experience Cairn for yourself, let me tell you exactly why this game is amazing. The movement reminds me of Death Stranding in a way, without the action. It's very slow yet methodical. Each step has weight, and each movement could be the difference between life and death. The game allows you to plan your route, prepare for the climb, and really think about your next move. This might sound tedious, but honestly, it's what makes this game incredibly immersive. When climbing, you control every move. You have the option to manually control each limb, or allow the game to choose the best limb for you based on fatigue and balance. Obviously, since you have 4 limbs, each limb accounts for 25% of your body's distribution. So you really have to consider balance and fatigue based on where the holds are and how your body's positioned. I loved this part of the gameplay because you can't just grab whatever's in front of you and climb. You have to be slow and methodical and really think before you make your next move. What makes this even better are the surfaces you climb. If they're smooth, good luck, and if they're wet, you're more likely to slip unless you have a very good hold. Add in a gust of wind that throws you off balance and pitch black darkness that make it hard to find the holds, and it just elevates the gameplay that much more. On top of the methodical yet addictive climbing, there are several locations where you can set up camp. This serves as a save point, so if you end up falling to your death, you go back to your last campsite. This adds so much more intensity because if the last campsite was 40 minutes ago, you really don't want to fail just to start all over again. On top of the camp serving as a save point, it also serves as a resting point. Here you can cook meals, fix pittance, and sleep through storms if you rather climb in optimal conditions. All of this combines to give you gameplay that appears simple on the surface but makes every successful climb feel like an accomplishment. It's hard to explain just how immersive this game feels, because while the gameplay is very immersive in itself, the game has an incredible atmosphere and sound design, as well as a beautiful cel-shaded art style that makes the world look picturesque. When you first start the ascent of Mount Kami, the game hits you with that Death Stranding vibe where the camera zooms out to show you the beautiful view, and music suddenly starts playing that makes the experience feel very meditative. That being said, when you're climbing the mountain, there's no music playing at all. The only sounds you hear are the sounds of the wind, the rain, or the sound of yourself struggling mid-climb. This really makes the experience feel a lot more grounded. Outside of that though, the beautiful sunset and sunrise constantly make me want to stop and admire the view. The game does this often, where it rewards you with a beautiful view at the end of a very difficult climb. What also adds to the immersion are the survival elements on top of everything else. The game loves to remind you that this isn't a peaceful ascent, but it's in fact an extremely dangerous and difficult climb of a beautiful yet deadly mountain. This means you constantly have to manage your thirst, hunger, and fatigue levels. To do that, you have to find water such as ponds or from cracks in the mountain. And you can find fish swimming in some of these ponds, which you can hunt and cook for food. Not to mention, the game is so detailed that you need to periodically tape up your fingers because climbing can cause rips and tears on each finger. Again, all of these elements are done so well that they make the entire experience feel real.
Hi Ava, it's 7 in the morning here. I just wanted to send you a little message to see if you were okay.
While it's hard to believe a climbing game can have a good story, Cairn managed to do exactly that. Now the story isn't anything special, but it's well done and has a very deep meaning. You play as Ava, someone who is extremely determined to climb to the top of Mount Kami at any cost. You also have a robot companion called Climbot, who helps you retrieve your pittance along the way. That's pretty much how the game starts, where you don't really know much about why Ava is doing what she's doing. However, as you play, the story begins to tell itself through Ava's interactions with other climbers, and through certain flashbacks or voice notes that she receives from her family via Climbot. Suddenly, the game goes from a simple climbing game to something a lot deeper. I'm not going to get into any spoilers, but the game does a good job at highlighting the importance of knowing your limits and knowing when to let things go. There's not really much else to say here, other than I really enjoyed getting to know Ava the more I played the game. I will say, while I ended up predicting the ending still managed to hit hard, and I think it was very well done.
I need to worry about noise complaints from these pets.
Cairn is not a short game by any means. It'll take you anywhere from 8 to 10 hours to complete, which is very respectable for a climbing game. That being said, the game still has some decent replayability for those who want more of a challenge or simply love exploration. The game has 3 difficulties: Explorer, Alpinist, and Free Solo. Explorer is the easiest, and Alpinist is the normal difficulty. Free Solo speaks for itself. It's climbing the entire mountain without any ropes. Because the gameplay itself is so addictive, a second playthrough on Free Solo would offer a very different experience where you no longer need to think about your piston placement and instead only think about your next move. On top of that, the game also has some collectibles as well as small side quests where you can choose to find 3 different dolls on 3 different peaks, among other objectives. This adds a level of exploration to the game that makes it more than just a very linear climbing game with only 1 or 2 paths. The game also allows you to freely decide which route you want to take and explore the beautiful mountain at your own pace. At the time of making this video, it was recently announced that Cairn will be getting a free DLC this summer, which adds 3 different climbing areas, including water soloing. If everything I said doesn't make you want to play this game again, knowing there will be free DLC coming would surely change your mind. It's no secret at this point that Cairn not only reviewed very well, but it also sold 500,000 copies within its first 2 months. That being said though, this game still deserves a lot more recognition. While this game is definitely not for everyone, if you're someone that enjoys cozy yet stressful and unique games, Cairn should be at the top of your list. The gameplay is extremely immersive, the atmosphere and sound design are incredible, the story is well done, and the visuals are beautiful. I enjoy a lot of indie games, and I went into this one blind without having any expectations, and initially, I thought the gameplay was going to get old quick. However, the more I played, the more I got hooked. The game continued to become more immersive the more I played, and I found myself genuinely getting invested in Ava and the climb itself. Everything in this game is extremely well done, and if you haven't played Cairn yet, I highly recommend it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Take care.